Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. Thank you all for making time to join our meetup today. My name is Linda Nsifel, and I am the founder of Women in Research, Monitoring, Evaluation, and Learning, which is an online community that seeks to accelerate the careers of women in the research, monitoring, evaluation, and learning space. Of course, our monthly meetups are open to all, and so we look forward to having an engaging discussion today. So before we dive in, I would like to just share my screen so that we all have an idea of what to expect today. So please, while I'm locating the slides, please do well to introduce yourselves in the chat, share where you're coming from or where you're based, your name and your profession. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Please let me know when you can see it. Maybe it's coming up soon. Okay. All right. So today's session is all about identifying ways that we can collect field data in an effective way. You know that as monitoring and evaluation specialists, data is very important to us. And so we have our wonderful speaker to take us through this topic. But before she comes on board, I would like us to just have an appreciation of what our program is going to look like. So we've done the first item, kind of, which is the welcome, but we are left with an activity which I will share with you in a bit. Then I'll come in and introduce our speaker. She'll do her presentation on effective field data collection for monitoring and evaluation. We'll have a time for Q&A and comments. There'll be some announcements, and then we'll end. Okay, so our icebreaker activity for today is to unscramble these words or these terminologies which are commonly used in research, monitoring, evaluation, and learning space. So just take some time to identify the words. Please feel free to type in the chat, or you can also unmute yourself if you have a clue as to which words they are. So let me just give you a couple of minutes to think about the words. And you can begin with any word that you find easy to unscramble. Any guesses? Okay, so we have Terry who says the first word he's been able to identify is accountability. So accountability is, yes, word number 2. That's correct. Okay, any other guesses from anyone? Okay, Terry again says goal. So number 4 is goal. Yes, indeed. Okay, Marilyn says measurements. That's for number 5. Yes, that's correct. You're doing great. Okay, any more? Okay, number 8. So Colin says analysis, correct. Okay, Terry, number 7 says impact. That's right. Okay, how many words are we left with? I think we are left with 6, 3, and 1. Okay, 6 outcome, correct. Terry, thank you. That's great. So we're left with 2 to unscramble. Any guesses? Okay, Marilyn says number 3 is indicator. That's correct. Okay, so we have the last one to figure out. Okay, the last one, which is number 1. Any guesses? Any guesses? We're almost there. Transparency, no, please. So it's word number 1 that we are on now. That's the only word left to unscramble. Any guesses? It's a very common word in the M&E space that we use a lot. Okay, let me give a clue. So it starts with the letter L. All right, so we have Marilyn who's got the answer, log frame. Great, great, great. Thank you so much to all of you who participated. I wish, if we were in an in-person session, I would have given you some awards. Okay, so we are at our next item, which is our presentation by our wonderful speaker. She is in the person of Cathia A, Morènikè Sacramento, and she's a monitoring and evaluation specialist. She's a holder of a master in project management and a professional license in specialized education. Morènikè is interested in programs focused on health, early childhood development, child protection, gender and leadership, young people, and has a perfect mastery of active participatory research methods. To date, she has several years of experience in planning, monitoring, and evaluation of projects, as well as support for social reintegration. Currently, Morènikè works for Urgent Action Fund Africa, a feminist organization focused on women's human rights in East and West Africa. She holds the position there of meal assistant consultant for program. Okay, so Cathia, Morènikè Sacramento, the stage is yours. We are here.
Thank you for this introduction.
Welcome.
I hope you can hear me.
Loud and clear.
Bonsoir à tout le monde. Good evening or good afternoon or good morning, everyone, depending on when you are. My name is Cathia Sacramento. I'm a monitoring evaluation specialist. And as Linda said, I'm going to be the speaker of the day. So I'm really happy to be here with all of you to share our different experience. So Linda, can I share my screen?
Yes, please. You may go ahead.
So here we go. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, please. Perfectly.
All right. Thank you, Linda. So this is our topic that we are going to discuss about today. It's about effective field data collection for monitoring and evaluation. Sorry, I didn't say where I'm from. I'm from Benin. We speak French here. And yeah, I'm really happy to be here. So our today plan is going to turn around first the introduction. After a brief introduction, we are going to see the different steps that we are going to take or we have to take before data collection. What are we supposed to do during the data collection? What are the different steps that we have to look at or to take after data collection? And at the end, there is the conclusion. If I'm going too fast, just let me know in the chat box, please. So before the introduction, I just want to share with you the objective of this presentation that we are having today. So the first objective will be to explain how we are supposed to plan data collection. And by saying that, it's all about providing guidance on certain objective. Why are we collecting data? Planning logistic, what are we using? How are we going on the field to collect data? And also select the appropriate tools that we are going to use on the field. Are we going to collect a quantitative information for quantitative analysis? Are we going to collect a qualitative data for qualitative analysis? The second objective is to demonstrate good practices during data collection on the field. It will be to highlight the different techniques that we are supposed to use to ensure that we have a good quality of the data, a data that is really accurate, as well as effective management of the team that is going on the field to collect the data. And the last objective of today's presentation is to show how to use collected data effectively. And it will illustrate the importance of processing, analyzing, and uses data for monitoring, evaluation, and also to inform for the decision making, because after collecting data, we have to analyze data, and it is those information that we are going to get from the data that we analyze that is going to help us to take a decision for the future. So in the introduction, I want to share with you the importance of data collection. Why do we need to collect data? Why are we collecting the data? So the first importance of collecting data is to inform, as I was saying, to inform the decision making. When we say that to inform the decision making, it's first to understand the current situation that we are in, because the data collection will provide a clear, comprehensive picture of the current state and also the context where the program or the project is going to be take place. Also, it will help to analyze and to identify the different gap or the different anomaly, and it will help those who are supposed to take the decision to know what they are supposed to do to fill those different gaps that they are seeing. Also, it helps to with accurate data, decision makers can compare different strategy and different approaches to see which one is a more effective, which one is going to work for them. The other importance of data collection is to measure the progress and the impacts, because the first thing that we are going to do when we are collecting data is to track the key indicators. And the key indicators are supposed to be very specific. They are supposed to be measurable. They are supposed to be measurable element that will reflect the performance, that will reflect the progress of the project. It will also help to regular monitoring those indicators that they already said before go on the field. It will help to compare if there was a baseline before. It will help to compare the information that you are getting now with the baseline information to see if there is any progress that we made, if there is something that we miss. It is the data collection that will help us, and also to see if you are supposed to reset another objective, or if you are supposed to change our strategy. The third importance of data collection is the accountability and transparency. Is very, very important when we are talking about transparency and sorry, when we are talking about transparency and accountability, because the data that we collect will offer a solid proof of what has been achieved. It helps to document the progress. It helps to document the results that we are getting. And is the data that will be the evidence that will demonstrate to the different stakeholders, to the community, the partners, to show them what are the progress that we are making since we start our project. And lastly, it's helped to continuous improvement. Data analysis highlight the different strengths and the area that we need to improve, and also facilitate adaptive project management. So here are the different importance of data collection. So as I was saying in the plan, the first step that we are going to see today is what are the different steps that we are supposed to take before data collection. What are we supposed to do before we go on the field and collect data? So the first thing that we are supposed to do, even before go on the field, is to ask ourselves the question, why are we collecting data? And when we ask ourselves that question, is mean that we are defining the objective of those data that we are collecting. What are we going to use them for? So the first answer can be to identify the specific needs of the project. It will help to understand the need of the different beneficiary. It also helps to understand the local context. And when you understand the local context, it helps to adapt the intervention, because it's always important to go to the beneficiary, to listen to them, and to know their needs, because it's one thing to have the resources to implement the project, but it's another thing to know what is the real need of the beneficiary, because it's not really interesting to come in maybe in a country or in some area to say that, oh, we want to do this, we want to do that, but you didn't take the time to discuss with those people who are going to take advantage of this project that you want to put in place, to let them know this is what we are going to do. What do you think about that? What are the different needs that you have? And those answers will help you to adapt in the intervention that you are going to do. Secondly, it will help to monitor performance of indicator. When we are talking about indicator, is those elements that will help to measure the progress, again, the objective that we set. It also helps to evaluate the effectiveness of the different activities that we are implementing. Also, it will help to inform the different stakeholders. It will provide information to the donor. It will help to provide information to the local community, the beneficiary, and it will also help to provide information to different partners that are in this project. Also, when we are defining the objective of the data collection, we have to know the key indicators that we are going to follow. As I was saying in the beginning, it's always important to know, are we collecting those data for qualitative analysis or quantitative analysis? When we are talking about quantitative analysis, it has to see with the number of beneficiary, it has to see with the participation rates, it has to see with measurable results. When we are talking about qualitative data, we are talking about the behavior, the change in the behavior, the change in the way people think, the beneficiary satisfaction. But most of the time when we are conducting evaluation, there is always the quantitative part and the qualitative part. But sometimes you can find that there are some evaluation that have to see only with the qualitative parts. Before the data collection, also, we have to do the planning. When we are talking about planning, it have to see with the when are we going to the field, who is doing what and when. So we have to develop a collection plan. When? By defining the collection schedule. From when are we starting, when it's supposed to end, which place are we going, how are we going to collect those data. When we say where, we have to identify the collection location to ensure that those locations where we are going to collect data from are accessible, and there is a security of those people that we are sending to collect data for us. Because as you know, there can be some area that we see that, oh, you cannot access to this area. So it's always good and important to know that where we are going, we are not going to be in danger. We are not sending people in a bad context. Also, when we are developing the collection data plan, we have to know how are we collecting data, what are the protocols that we are going to follow, who is responsible of doing what, when, with who. And after that, we have to choose the tools and the method that we are going to use. Are we going to use a questionnaire? If you are going to use a questionnaire, it means that we will design the questionnaire and to standardize this questionnaire. And if you are going to do an interview, which kind of interview are we going to do? Is this a semi-structured interview? Is it an open interview? Which kind of interview are we going to do? Are we going to use observation? Is also a tool, is also a way to collect data. When we are talking about observation, it has to see with using the observation grid to collect the contextual behavior information. You have to look at the way people are behaving. You don't necessarily need to ask them questions, but you just need to observe them and take notes. After that, still before the data collection, you have to train those people who are going to collect the data. First, there is a team selection and the training of the investigators or the enumerators. And there should be a criteria in the selection of those persons who are going on the field to collect data. And the criteria can be the communication skills. It can be the knowledge of the context, the local context, because sometimes it's really important to know that those who are going to collect the data are comfortable with the area they are going to. It's good to know that they are used to those people. They know how they behave. Also, after selecting those persons who are those investigators, there should be the training. There should be a training, and this training is to present and to let them know what are the objectives of this data collection. What are the tools that we are going to use? What are the different techniques of interview that we are going to use, and also to show them the ethical protocol, because it's really, really important when you are going on the field to collect data. How do you say? The person that you are going to collect information from, you have to be really mindful on how you talk to that person, how you ask them the question, and even sometimes, even if the person is part of the beneficiary, the person is really free to say, yes, I want to participate in data collection. No, I don't want to participate. So it's really, really important to let the investigators know about the ethical protocol that is put in place for this data collection. And after the training, after training the investigators, we have to do a simulation. We have to test the different tools that we are going to use on the field. And this part also is really important because sometimes if you don't do the simulation, if you don't test the different tools, when they go on the field, sometimes they can face some challenges that they didn't see before, and they won't know how to react, and it can delay the time that we set for this data collection. So it's really, really important to do a pre-test, and this pre-test carry out the test on a restricted sample. We have to just take maybe if it's possible to take maybe 5, 10 beneficiary and to test those different tools with them. It will help to identify eventually the different problem, and it will also help to adjust the tool before go on the field. And also this part of simulation of testing the tool will help us to get a feedback. It's really important to collect a feedback from the interviewers and participants to improve the clarity and relevance of the question, because sometimes some question can be very confusing. So it's at this step that we will know that this question, we have to break it in maybe 2, 3, and it will be very easier for them to answer. So I think this is here is the last part before data collection. The last thing that we have to do before data collection, before we go on the field, is about the logistic and the organization. When we are talking about logistic organization, is first to prepare the necessary resource. Are they going to use a tablet? If they are going to use Kobo, for example, are they going to install the application on their phone? Are you going to provide them those tablets? Are they going to use their own phone? Are they all comfortable with using their phone? It's during the before the data collection that you have to set all those things, to be sure that everybody have a smartphone. If they don't have, find a way to provide them. If they are going to use tablets, where are we going to find those tablets from? Are we going to buy them? Are we going to rent them? It's at this step that you have to clarify all these things. Are they going to use a paper questionnaire? You have to bring all those. Are they going to use pen, audio recorder when they are doing the interview? So all the material that they are going to use on the field, you have to make sure that everybody have them, everybody know how to use them, everybody is comfortable with those resources. After that, the transportation and accommodation. If the place they are going to collect data is very far from where they live, what is the travel planning? What time are they leaving? Are they going to stay there? Are they going to come back every day to their place? Are they going to stay there for the whole time that the data collection will take? How are you going to manage the per diem that they are going to get? Are you giving them maybe 50% before they start and the other 50% at the end? Or how are you going to manage all those things? So it's really, really important to take the time to prepare, to be sure that all the logistics that we will need are in place to facilitate the work for the investigators that are going on the field. And also, it's really, really important to coordinate with the local stakeholders. When we are talking about local stakeholders, it can be the different authority, it can be maybe the chief of the village, it can be the traditional leaders, it can be the religious leaders. Those persons, you have to go to see them even before the enumerators come to their place and start collecting data. You have to go there and engage with them to let them know what are you going to do, why are we collecting data, what are we going to use those data from is really, really important, because it is those authorities who will help you to bring together the respondent, and if they are well involved, they will make the work very easier for you. But when you don't engage them in the processes, they will make it very, very difficult for you. So it's really important to go and see them, to let them know what you are doing, why are you doing that. So I think that we are done with the first part of our presentation, which concern what are we supposed to do before we go on the field. The second part of today's presentation is about what are we supposed to do during the data collection. Once we have trained the investigators, once we have everything in place, once we have engaged with the different authorities in the area, when we have trained them, when we have already do the pre-test, we already have the sample that we are going to engage with, what are we supposed to do while the data collection is ongoing? The first thing after the first step, the first thing is the implementation on the field. And it's mainly team deployment. Each team should be given a specific area to cover to avoid the overlap and ensure that to ensure complete coverage. It means that if you are going to in which example since I'm in Benin, let me take the Cotonou example. We have this part of Cotonou is the area that we call Godomé. If they are going to Godomé to collect the data, we have to know how many people are they going to collect the data from, and the number of the investigators that we have, how are we going to divide them to be sure that we cover all the people, that we cover all the sample of the people that are part of the sample that we are supposed to collect the data from. The second thing is to do a daily debriefing meeting, can be a meeting before and after each working day to share information at the end of the day, to share the different challenges that they come across, how they come over those challenges, how was the day, how they engage with people, was it difficult, was it easy, what are the different way that they try to overcome the challenge that they face on the field. And the last thing is the logistic and support to ensure that the team have all the necessary equipment and logical support, such as a transportation, etc. If they are all going in the morning, there should be a point that everybody should come. You will give them the time. If you are starting at 9, maybe you will ask them to be there at 7:30 or 8, the time for them to go to the area that they are going to collect the data from. After that, we have the using of collection tool. It's really, really common to use the technology when you are collecting data, because it makes the data collection easier. So it have to see if they're using the tablet, as I was saying in the first part of before the data collection, using of smartphone or mobile application as Kobo to capture the data in real time. And also it helps to reduce an error and facilitate immediate analysis. From my experience, when we are using Kobo, every time that an investigator is entering any data, there should be someone who is seeing the way this person is entering the data. And also at the end of the day, it will help you to know that maybe we are supposed to do 10 interview, semi-interview, and at the end of the day, you can see that maybe you see 8 or 7 It will help you to know that maybe they come across some challenges, it was difficult for them. And when they will come back from the field, you will discuss with them, do the debriefing, and they will let you know that this is the reason why instead of 10, we get 8, instead of 8, we get 5, I don't know. Also, the implementation on the field helps for the accurate documentation. When we are talking about the accurate documentation, is about the accurate data that we are collecting on the field, accurate and complete recording of observation of the different response that they get on the field, and the different background notes of later for in-depth analysis. After all that, we will talk about the quality assurance. Is really, really important, because if the data that we are collecting, if we didn't collect the right data, the decision that will be taken at the end of the data collection is not going to help the project, and is not going to help the beneficiary. So it's important to have a quality data. When we are talking about qualitative data, it's always important to do data verification. When we are talking about data verification, is to monitor the data that is collected daily, as I was saying, when we are using Kobo, to identify and to correct the different error very quickly. Every day, at the end of every day, you have to check to see if someone say that, I don't know, maybe they say, are you single or married? The person said, I'm single. And for the other question, they will see that the information are not really, how do you say, are not really logic. So it's really, really important at the end of every day to monitor the data that have been collected by the investigator. Also, when we are talking about regular checking, is also to compare the data collected by different teams to ensure the consistency and also to ensure the accuracy. Is really, really important, because they cannot be in the same area and collecting a different data. So it's the regular checking that we ensure that we ensure the consistency and the accuracy of the data. And also we have to choose a field supervisor, because the presence of the field supervisor will help to observe all the process, and we also help to provide immediate feedback and ensure that everybody adhere to the protocol. So among the investigators, you have to choose one person per group, to be sure that this person is here to be looking at what others are doing, what are the challenges that they are facing, to be able to provide them immediate feedback, or if it is how do you say, the expert is not on the field, then to give him a quick call to let him know that we are facing this and this challenge. How are we supposed to manage it? So it will help to get the work easier. Also, still talking about a quality assurance, we have the management of those events that we didn't plan, and also this challenging. When we are talking about those, this kind of event can be the weather, because when the rain is going to come, there is nothing that we can do against the rain. So it's already always important to plan the activity based on the weather. If we are in a rain season, it's not really wise to plan a collection data when it's raining, because we are not going to get the data that we need. They are not going to be able to go and see all those people who are part of the sample that we choose to collect the data from. Also, we have to identify the different alternatives for the route and transportation. If the access of the area is very difficult, we have to find a way to make it easier for those people who are going on on the field to collect the data? How are we going to manage? Is it easier to take a bike to go there, or it will be easier to walk? How are they going to do? If the car cannot take a certain road, how are we going to manage to have access to this area? Also, we always have to ensure that those investigators that we are sending on the field, because we are responsible of their health and safety. So we have to ensure that the team follow the different safety protocol. There is always a safety protocol that we put in place when we are going on the field to collect data. So we have to ensure that the teams follow this protocol and have the necessary equipment to protect their self. Maybe if the sun is too bright, it's too hot, make sure that we provide them a bottle of water, make sure that we provide them something to cover their self when the sun start being too hot, for example. Also, during the data collection, we have to ensure that we communicate well and we coordinate well our different actions. So there should be a constant communication with the team to ensure that we have a good synchronization. So we have to use the different technology that we have as a you can have a WhatsApp group, we can have a focus group, we can have a phone calls to make sure that we have the good information if they are facing any challenge, to make sure that we hear about the challenge, we know how to overcome this challenge and let them know, so to no waste time. Also, still about communication coordination, there should be a regular meeting. I think we said it in the previous slide that there should be a regular meeting at the end of each day to do a debriefing, to do an update of the day, to share the different progress, to share the different challenge and solution that they find to overcome those challenges. Also, it's important to centralize the communication channel. A central person or a group to coordinate the information and to resolve the problem quickly. There should be someone that we know that if we call this person and let the person know that we are having this and this challenge on the field, the person should be able to provide us very quickly a solution, because we don't want to waste time. We have a certain time to collect data. If we go beyond this time, maybe our resources that we have may not be able to cover this extra time. So it's really important to take in account the time that we have to collect the data. Also, there should be an adjustment of the plan based on the feedback that we are getting from the field. Maybe we decide to go and collect the data in a time that people used to go and farm. So if the investigators get there and they see that, oh, they are not really available, they are going to farm, they don't have time, they are going to put their different, maybe, or they are going to market, we should find a way to manage, and we have to be very flexible. We are the person who need the information, so we have to adapt our plan to those people we are collecting, the respondents that we are going to collect the information from. Also, we have to document the different lesson that we learn for this data collection. It can be a good lesson, it can be a bad lesson, but I don't think there is a bad lesson. I think that there is always a way to improve what we are doing. So it's really important to document everything, because it's only going to be useful for us, but it's also going to be useful for others that are coming after us. So here is the last part, or the third part after the data collection. What are the different steps that we are supposed to take? What are we supposed to do after we collect data on the field? After we collect data, there is the first part that is to clean and validate the data. And first, we have to identify and correct if there is any error in the data that they collect. It is the time to correct those errors, and also to remove the missing data to ensure that the data that we collect is a quality data. Also, we have to standardize data format to facilitate the work for the person who is going to do the data analysis. We also have the statistical analysis and interpretation of the results. Firstly, after analysis the data, there should be a way to present the data. It depends on the objective, and it depends on who are we going to share those results with. But it's always good to, in the data interpretation, to use a graph, to use the tables, and to use a map to clearly present the different trends, to present the different correlation, and also to present the significant result that they are getting from this data analysis. After that, there is the interpretation. After analyzing the data, we will analyze the implication of the data we collected in relation with the initial objective or the initial situation that was in place before we collect the data. So after that, there is the report and presentation of the results. We have to write the report in detail. There should be a structure when we are doing a report. There should be the introduction. There should be the methodology that you use to collect the data. What are the results that come from the data analysis, and the discussion, the conclusion, and also the recommendation, because there is always the recommendation at the end of the report. Also, we have to be be very concise when we are writing our reports. When we come to the presentation of the different results to the different stakeholders, it's really important to take in account the target audience, because when we are doing a presentation for the beneficiary, it's not the same way that when we are going to present it to the different partners. And also we have to use effective communication. When we talk about effective communication, is about using a visual and a narrative presentation to explain the result that is coming from this data analysis, and also to prepare ourselves to answer the potential question that we are going to get from our audience, and also to be ready to clarify maybe if there is a complex point, if they don't understand, to be ready to answer to this question. And after that, there is the use of the data. What are we going to use the data for? And in the beginning, when I was presenting the objective of our today's session, we were talking about what are we going to use the data for. And the first thing is to know how to collect, how collected data is used to make informed decision. Monitoring performance indicator. It will help us to compare the result that we get now against the objective set to assess the program, the progress, and the impact of our intervention. It also helps to evaluate our results by determining whether the action taken led to expected results, and also to identify the different areas that need adjustments. And it also helps to take a strategic decision, because we use that data to guide our future strategy and resources, because the resources are very limited, and we need to be sure we need to use those resources effectively. Also, we have the implementation and the recommendation, the implementation of the different recommendations that we put in our reports. As I was saying, in every monitoring and evaluation report, when you conduct an evaluation and at the end you provide a report, there should be the recommendation at the end. And the recommendations are always based on the result that we get. And you have to propose a specific action to improve the performance or to respond to the challenge that have been identified during the data collection. Also, it helps to monitor the different action. It helps to define the different mechanisms or which mechanisms to monitor are we going to use to monitor the implementation of the different recommendations that have been made, and also to adjust the strategy if it is necessary. We have the feedback and the continuous improvement. It's really important to get the feedback, because I don't think that there is a perfect project, there is a perfect collection data. There is always something to improve. So it's important to get the feedback about the different tools that we use to collect the data, the feedback about the management on the field operation, also the feedback about the beneficiary, how the way we engage with them, are they comfortable with that? The interview, the different focus group that we do, were they really comfortable with that? To also get the feedback from the investigators to know if it was very easier for them to get the answers that they need from the respondent. Also, it will help to improve collection process for future operation. There is the lesson learned analysis that is really, really important to do, because it will help to identify the different strengths, the different weakness of the current process, and also to make a recommendation for the improvement. The next time that we are going to collect data, how are we going to do to get a better result? How are we going to engage with people to make them feel really comfortable to talk with us? How are we going to train our investigators? How are we going to select them? How are we going to make sure that they are all comfortable with the different tools that they are supposed to use on the field? And it will help for the next time that we are going to collect data. And also there is the continuing education. It will help to share the different knowledge when we are talking about capacity building or capacity sharing. At the end, we talk about capitalization is a way to document all the success, all the good practice, or the practice that need improvement, to document that, and for the future, for those who are going to collect data as we did, or for the others organization. So we are at the end of the presentation, and in summary, I will say that the importance of a rigorous and well-planned data collection is to ensure that the data is accurate and reliable. The quality of the data will impact the validity of the conclusion and the decisions that are going to be made. It impacts the assessment, allows you to measure progress, to identify the different success, and to justify the investment, because when we are putting money in something, we are expecting a certain kind of result. So what are the results that we are getting? It also helps to data provide a valuable insight to guide the different policies. If we are in a health sector, for example, It will help to give a valuable insight to the program and the others' intervention. So in summary, we can say that before the data collection, it's really important to clarify and define the objective, to know the plan that we are going to follow. During the data collection, we have to ensure the effective implementation and rigorous data management. And after we collect our data, it's important to analyze the results, to make informed decisions, and also to aim for continuous improvements. So I'm at the end. We are at the end of our today presentation. I hope I didn't go too fast for you. Linda, I will hand over to you to manage the different questions that we are going to have.
Sure.
And I also hope that we are going to share this, if Linda is okay with that. I will share this presentation with you. And here are the different links that I use to prepare my presentation of today. Thank you, Linda.
Wow, thank you so much, Morènikè, for taking your time to explain the processes and what goes into effective data collection. I'm sure my colleagues or participants would attest to the fact that you've done a great job. Okay, so we've reached the point where we have a few questions that need to be answered. And so I will start with the first one from Bispa. And his question is, what's the role of stakeholders in validating the data that is collected from the field?
Okay, so I think that when we go on the field to collect data, we are going to collect accurate data. So it can happen that sometimes the stakeholders, especially the, how do you call it, the person that requests for the data analysis, if at the beginning the objective should be very, very clear, because if at the beginning the objective of that data collection are not clear, at the end, you can have some challenges with the stakeholders validating the data that you collect. And that's why before you go on the field, you have to sit with the stakeholders to let them know these are the information that we want to get from this activity of data collection. It will help you to be sure that at the end you collect the data that they need. So let's say that it's already validated even before you go on the field.
Okay, he has a second question, and it says, what kind of techniques may be used to collect data from some people who refuse to provide data, especially data on family income?
All right, I think when we are talking about family income, is a very, how do you say, I understand the importance of this question, and it's also a very sensitive question for people to open up for you to say, this is our income, this is how I earn every month. So it's very difficult. And what we used to see that if one person don't want to give you the information, another will do. So you don't force any person to give you information about their family income. If they don't want to, don't force them. If they don't want to give this information, if they refuse, it's their right to refuse. That's why even before each interview, we always say to the respondent that all the information that you are going to give us is confidential, but you are very free to participate or not in this activity. So if they refuse to give the information, there is no problem. You have just to pass to another family, another person.
Okay, great. I hope Visva is satisfied with the responses so far. Okay, we move on to Whitney. And first of all, he or she says, thank you for the presentation. What is the best approach for cleaning the data? Any tools useful for that?
So when we are talking about data cleaning, I think there is a lot of tools that we can use to clean the data. But it also depends on the kind of data that you are going to clean the data. If you are talking about the, how do you call it, the qualitative data, when you collect all the interview, you have to listen to those interview and pick from those interview the information that you need. But if it is a qualitative data, I think there is Python that they use to clean data. There is also how do you call talent? Is it three factor? Yeah, there is three factor, who is also a tool that you can use. There is also Open Refine. There is also SQL. So that are the tools that you can use, the basic one, the Excel. And yeah, I'm sure that there are other tools that you can use, but those are the ones that I'm really used to.
Okay, great. Thank you. So just a few acknowledgements from Jennifer. She said, thank you for the presentation, very informative. Marilyn said, thank you. And then we have a question from Terry. Is there any difference in the procedures or steps of data collection between monitoring and evaluation?
Is there any difference in the procedure step of data collection between monitoring and evaluation? So let's say that when we are talking about monitoring and evaluation, it's two different things. When we are talking about monitoring goes all along the project, like you are collecting data every day. Since you start the project, you are collecting data. Monitoring is the act of collecting data through the project. And the evaluation is when you will analyze those information, those data that you collect to help for the decision making. So we say monitoring and evaluation, but it's two different things, but they complete each other. Yeah. So the different steps are not really different, but it's different. When you are doing monitoring, you are just collecting the data. When you come to evaluation, you are going to use those data that have been already analyzed to take a decision. So it depends on what you are doing.
All right, thank you. Okay, we also have another acknowledgement for your presentation. And then Jennifer asks, how do you deal with missing data?
Hello?
Yeah. So we have a question, how do you deal with missing data?
Oh, all right. So when we are talking about missing data, that's why first is the reason why it's really important to do a, how do you say, a daily debrief at the end of each day to check if, let's say, we are supposed to have 10 interview or 5 interview, to see if at the end of the day we have those 10 interviews that we are supposed to get. So if they are missing data, I think that the best way to do, if the missing data is not that too much, you can manage and do the data that you have. If it can help you to get it can help you to achieve the objective that you set before you go on the field. I don't know if Linda wants to add something to my answer. Any contribution is well.
Dealing with missing data. If it's possible, like if the budget you're on will permit you to go back and collect that missing data, yeah, probably that would be one of the routes to take. But maybe a preventive measure would be when you're setting up your questionnaires, like if you're using like a mobile data collection device or any tool for that matter, if there's the feature that allows you to make questions mandatory, yeah, that could also minimize the collection of missing data. Yeah, and sometimes missing data might not be because the questionnaire wasn't well developed. Sometimes too, there could be technical issues at the back end, depending on the kind of tool you're using. So in that case, then you probably have to reach out to the provider of the application to help you to access the data from the back end. Yeah, if it gets to that point where it's more of a technical issue than maybe a process related issue. Yeah, in developing the questionnaire itself. But yeah, these are my 2 cents. Okay, I hope Jennifer is satisfied with the responses. Okay, we have a thank you from Whitney, so she's also happy with your response. And then we have Visva who has a comment. So he said, thank you very much for the reply. And he said that when we implement the livelihood project, that time is when we ask that question. Okay, so he was the one asking about, yeah, people not being willing or forthcoming with data on income. And then we have Elvis who said, appreciation to your presentation. It was so insightful and necessary. Okay, then Terry has a follow-up. So he asked the question about, yeah, he said, is there any difference in the procedures or steps of data collection between monitoring and evaluation? And the follow-up, so he said, if I'm not mistaken, today's session is about data collection for evaluation, not monitoring. It's for both. It's for both M&E. So I hope that clarifies. Unless you have a specific question, or you need some clarification on the presentation. Terry. Jennifer says, yeah, she's fine with the response given. Okay, great. All right. So
I just want
okay.
to add to what you just said about the last question, to say that there is not like there is always a reason why we collect data. The action of collecting data, that's what we call monitoring. When we are monitoring something, it means that you are collecting information about like you are doing an update to know where you are, when you look back to the objective that you set before you start. And the evaluation is the act of taking those information, analyze them, get data, and use those data to the decision making. So we don't collect data to just put them somewhere. We always collect data for a reason. Maybe we are doing a baseline to know the need before we implement the project, or we are doing a midterm evaluation, like when the project starts, if it is a 3-year project, after 1 year, for example, you do a midterm evaluation to just see if we are hitting our target, if we are getting to the point where we are supposed to do. And there is also the final evaluation that we used to do to see that if we achieve our objective. And there is also the, how do you call it? The impact evaluation, because sometimes the project and people, they need time. We need time to observe some change, some difference. So there's also the impact evaluation that you can do maybe 1 year, 2 year, 3 year after the project have been done. So there's a different kind of evaluation that we used to conduct, but the action of collecting data, that's what we call monitoring. So they are always together. Always when you collect the data, it's always to take a decision.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Morènikè, for your time with us today. I'm sure the participants, I'm sure the participants are very glad that they joined today. And they've also made the session very lively by asking very good questions and sharing feedback as well. So that's really great. It's great that you could all be here, especially on a Friday when you're so eager to start the weekend. So, Morènikè, how can people get in touch with you if they want to take the discussion offline?
Yeah, you can get in touch with me via my LinkedIn profile. It's the same name, is Morènikè Sacramento. I think I also have my email on my profile. So yeah, it will be we'll be very happy to interact with you after this session, and also to learn from you, because I'm pretty sure that all people that are present here today are really familiar with the monitoring and evaluation field and all those questions around monitoring and evaluation. So yeah, it will be a pleasure for me to discuss, to exchange with you about that. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much, Morènikè. So I've just shared a few links. So I've shared the link to the feedback form. So please spend some time to provide us with feedback. And then secondly, I've also shared the link to our YouTube channel where you can access previous meetup sessions that we've had. And also today's meetup session will be uploaded there as well. So you can recap as well. And then you can follow Women in RML on Twitter. So I've shared the link to our Twitter handle, or X, which we now call it. And then I've also shared the link to Morènikè's LinkedIn profile. And then I'll also add the link to the Women in RML LinkedIn page, where you can also get some updates. Okay, so it was great having you all. Thank you all for your time. Thank you all. And hopefully we'll meet next month for another exciting session. And yeah, definitely, Morènikè, we'll call on you again to do a brilliant presentation. Thank you so much. All right, so enjoy the weekend, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye. You're welcome.